Hello and welcome to my name is Jordan, and with me, as always, Casey McGeorge.
Oh, how's it going, everybody?
Last year was your first Bond movie. I actually was re-listening to it because I was re-editing it for a over on Soups and Sabers. We have a separate feed called the Bondpod that I just started, which is because just like you, I'd only seen the Craig films. Like you hadn't seen any until last year. I hadn't seen any till 2021. So it was almost exactly 4 years ago that I just binged all of these movies and then bought a ticket for No Time to Die. So
You want to hear
go ahead.
something really weird? I actually own the entire James Bond collection. I
I
might have
know
even
you
bought No Time to Die.
you
Like
did. You bought it
it was
on
on
when we were recording.
like I bought the whole collection a couple years ago during a Prime Day sale because I'm like, I'm sure at some point I'll be bored and I'll just finally get around to watching a James Bond movie. And I never did. So I own the physical copy of every James Bond movie. I just never watched any of them until recently.
Yeah, see, I made your purchase worth it by doing this, but I just started going back, and last weekend I watched the first Sean Connery movie. So I
Oh, you went all
decided
the way back.
I did. I decided I was gonna start at the beginning. I think on the last one, or Casino Royale, or Quantum of Solace, when we were talking about it, and I was saying that I might go reverse and go Pierce Brosnan, then
Yeah,
backward.
I remember you saying something like that. You were gonna maybe do like the
But
Brosnan ones next because they were a little more modern as
right,
compared to the '60s and Sean Connery, right?
but I think I don't know if it was just the runtime of it or something, but I it was only an hour 45 for the first Sean Connery movie, Doctor No, and I watched it and I was like, you know what, this is my first time watching all of these. I want to share my thoughts, and the best way I do that is through podcasting. So I just decided over on the Soups and Sabers podcast, I was going to just record little thoughts of each one and kind of chart my thoughts as I'm going through each Bond film to put it up there. So that's why I created a separate feed for it as well. So if people are, and then Bond is kind of coming back, right? They got the video game coming out next year, and then they also have the uh, you know
Amazon
we
has purchased
we're
the
starting to
rights
get
to
the
yeah,
yeah, we're starting to get news about the new movie.
or
Uh,
series or whatever they're gonna do with it. I don't
yeah,
know it.
we know for sure a movie because Denis Villeneuve has been hired as the director, but there was talk about them doing spin off. So we'll see if they do
But
that.
a Bond universe like the
Right.
MCU, which so once again without spoiling anything, as I've watched all these three, right? Okay, James Bond is 007. So at some point last night, I was like, are there other double O's? Like, and apparently, and they've been mentioned in the books that Ian Fleming wrote, and I think they've been mentioned in some of the movies that there are other double O's, right?
Yeah, the
And
the new video game coming out, it has uh, a storyline that is original. It's not based off anything, and the they keep mentioning about 009, and I guess he kind of goes rogue or something.
yeah,
Maybe something like that. So yeah, I think there's
and I saw that
at least
it
nine.
actually goes into double fit like it's 0010 and stuff like that. So there are other, not Bond, but there are other
Right.
members of MI6 that are out doing their own individual missions with their own version of M, and or maybe it's the same M, and she's just I don't know, because I haven't really looked into all of that, right?
Right.
So I don't. I'm a firm believer in not everything needs its own universe,
Uh-huh.
right? I think the MCU was very successful initially with the MCU. Marvel was very successful with the MCU because other people had made their own little universes, like we talked about last episode, or the first episode of the season when we did Weird Science, the John Hughes universe that I
Yeah.
coined. Kevin Smith uh, started in the '90s, did what he called the View Askew verse, where all these movies he made took place in with the same characters in the small New Jersey area, right? Have you ever seen any of the Kevin Smith films? Or?
No, I think I saw part of Dogma.
All right, keep that in mind for later. But I'd see. Here's the thing: I don't know what we can do with Dogma because up until recently, he just got the rights back to Dogma
Right,
because
right,
it was trapped behind the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. So I know, like, I have the DVD of that because they haven't done a Blu-ray or anything or streaming
right.
release of it because of Weinstein. He just
I'm
got the
pretty
rights
sure
back.
I'm pretty sure I have the DVD to Dogma as well. Actually, I don't know
It was going for a
where it's
pretty
at.
penny for a while because it was going for a pretty penny for a while because it
Out of print.
came out of print and
Yeah.
it's hard to find. But I know later on this year he's doing another re-release, and there's talk about maybe like a 4K and some other stuff. So hopefully we'll get some more news on that. But like all of these characters take place around New Jersey and have same characters, so he kind of did his own universe there before the MCU. And there's been other people who've done and tried things. And initially I was like, I don't know if we need like a Bond universe, like. But after watching the three movies I have, I'd be curious to see how they would handle 002, 0026, or whatever they go with, because not everyone can be this suave, womanizing person who can do everything that Bond does, right? There's got to be someone who's maybe like a Jason Bourne in there. There's got to be someone
Right, right.
who's maybe more like a Sam Fisher, like totally super undercover, who works completely in the shadows. So depending what they would do with it, it might be interesting to see. But I don't know. It's Amazon and it's a universe that it could totally mess it
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do now that they have. I think a lot of people were apprehensive about it, obviously because of that. But I would say from what I've been listening to and what I've been reading from fans, so far Amazon's winning them over by just like the people they're putting together so far for the 26 Bond film, and then it seems like they're putting a lot of care into it, and look, it's probably the biggest franchise Amazon actually has the rights to, so they want to get it right. But it's like, what happens once you do get it right? Do you then start pumping stuff out? Do you
up. So did you?
we've seen companies have goodwill that lose goodwill when they continue on
Oh,
with something.
if
So
they came out with Bond 26, whatever it's called, right, and totally screw it up, they may never be able to get the goodwill back.
right, right.
Um, did you see the rumor I talked about last time where I had read that there was a rumor that Aaron Taylor Johnson had been offered the role but hadn't accepted, and maybe they were still negotiating stuff yet. But
I
that was
hadn't seen. Good.
I had only, like I said, I hadn't seen that everywhere. It wasn't like here's that, it wasn't in like Variety or the Hollywood
Right,
Reporter
right.
or anything like that. It was through some other stuff that I don't know how reputable some of those sources are, which sometimes they do get stuff right and they do have better sourcing, but because they're not like the Hollywood Reporter or Variety, where they probably have better or more stringent journalistic standards on how they're going to put information out that they get. So they may, like, those two may have to wait to get two or three confirmations about what they're putting out as compared to CBR or something like that. But I'm not saying CBR is where I got it, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Uh-huh.
websites like that where they might get info but don't have the three sources that like Hollywood Reporter might need or something like
Yeah, the thing that I wouldn't expect a cast until I mean, it is tough because it really depends on who has the biggest say. And what I mean by that
that. Is it
is
Amazon
it the
or
is it the
Villanueva?
producers picking the actor is it Villeneuve? Because like if it's Denny Villeneuve, he's shooting Dune 3 right now. That comes out in December of 2026, which means that he's going to be
He's probably not touching it
overseeing
until
that.
after that. Yeah. He's
Right.
probably not
Now,
touching anything until after that's done.
right. There's probably somebody out there writing a script for it that he can give notes on while he's editing Dune 3. But usually a casting doesn't happen until the script is done and they're getting ready to gear up. And it looks like David Heyman, who is a producer, says that, like, this article I was just reading says that, like, production would start in 2027, which means it's probably getting a 2028 release date,
At
right?
the earliest.
And with that, I would assume maybe we hear something a year from now of who is cast. But here's the thing: if it is going to be more up to the producers and they want momentum and they're like gearing up for this, then they might try to push it earlier, right? Where they're saying, look, this is who we want to build our James Bond series around right now. We're going to do like 4 or 5 movies. So we're trying to get somebody young. We're going to go after this guy and boom. Like, I could totally see Amazon pulling something like that too, where they like jump the gun and just say, let's do it. Like, let's just show off you know,
Have a press
we
conference and Aaron Taylor Johnson comes out in a tuxedo or something, right?
right. Now the funny thing is, that was a very popular rumor, but the okay, so here you go. Denny Villeneuve says he will begin the search for the new James Bond next year after he completes production on Dune Part 3. Uh they want him to be a fresh-faced British male, an unknown in their 20s or 30s is one of the things that Deadline reported, okay? That's what Deadline reported. Now, the short list that released this summer through one of these sources, I guess, said it was a 3-name short list. All of these people are well known and they're all in their 20s, so I don't really know how that would fit the list. But you have Tom Holland, Harris Dickinson, and Jacob Elordi. Uh
I don't know who the last two are. The only one I know is Tom Holland, but like
I've heard of Jacob Elordi. I don't really
I've heard
know
the
what
name. I don't know what he might have done.
uh oh, he was in Euphoria. That's
So I
oh,
would say good.
he was just in the new Frankenstein movie that came out yesterday.
And that's getting great reviews too. Um, here's the thing about Holland.
He plays the Frankenstein's monster in that.
Here's the thing about Holland. He is young. He's very well known. He has a
Yeah.
fan base, so people will go see it, right? For some of us, it will be shocking to hear him speak with his British accent because he
Yeah.
has played Spider. Like people probably only know him as playing Spider-Man, and some people may not know that he's actually British. Like I've heard him do other interviews and things where he
Yeah.
has talked with his natural accent, but like we've talked about before, hearing some of these actors and actresses talk with their natural accent, you're like, well, I didn't know this person was Australian or whatever. Um, with Holland, that might depend on how much he's tied up with, how much more he has left with the MCU and Spider-Man and Sony.
That's the thing. I think he would be almost ruled out because if you're casting James Bond, you don't want to be worried about his availability for Spider-Man and like that being a thing, you know.
Um, if he has anything else with the Uncharted series that he has left to do after the Uncharted movie, I don't know if there's other movies planned on that.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing anything with that because it didn't do
It did
particularly.
okay and it got decent reviews, but it's a video game movie, so who knows, right? Like I don't know. I think they did. I think I read that there was a teaser in the end where it could lead to a sequel. I don't know. Um,
It looks like it is in development, but there's no release date, so who knows if they're actually doing it. So there's a lot
or
of stuff in development that never happens, but
or
yeah,
that
who
could
knows?
just be, once again, that could be tied up because he's freaking Spider-Man. Like
Right,
you can
right.
like you can do everything you want and develop it, but obviously who's going to come calling first and who's probably going to get first dibs on everything is Sony and Marvel with any sort of Spider-Man stuff and MCU stuff. Yes. Um, my next question was, you might have already answered. I don't know, but so do you hire the actor first and then do the script after that, or do you do the script of what you want initially and then hire the actor based off your initial script for whether it's rebooting or picking up after No Time to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
where
think
do
you can
you?
just I think you would just do I
I don't
think you
know if one
could
has to come first.
no, I think you could do either or. Like if you're like, "Hey, we're casting this guy, which means we want the script to be like this." Or you write the script and you say, "Well, we're looking for somebody that can embody this," right? Like now that we have it written. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to kind of do it for any movie. I think any movie you could pretty much like either there's it always happens where either somebody's attached really early before a script or a director, or they cast after it's already done and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, uh, like I'm sure it happens. It depends on what they want to do the most, right? Like I would assume Denis Villeneuve and the producers have already talked when he had his pitch, to get the job, what his type of Bond was going to be, and that would already kind of entail who they're like looking at that point. When they say he described Bond as this, this, and this, which means we want an actor that can embody
I'm
this
assuming
personality.
the first thing they wanted was a younger Bond. They probably
Yeah,
that seems to
I
be
would
the
think so.
hot thing with between the video game and everything else. They wanna catch everybody as they're starting off and not as they're established, right? Kind of they're going the opposite way of where Superman and James Gunn is going. Gunn is going. He's like their world's already established. Let's just jump right in. We don't need origin stories anymore. Now for Bond, they're probably going. We need the origin story. Maybe
I don't know if they
Ralphie.
will. I guess that's
Maybe
the
not
curious
origin
thing.
story, but at least
But at least young enough where they can do like I said, 5, 6 movies
yeah. I mean, they with Casino Royale, they did
in origin.
Casino Royale was his origin story, but he was a little
Yeah.
bit older when he became 007. He wasn't, the young 22-year-old, who's starting off.
How old was Craig? So 1968 is when he was born.
He's
He was
57 now,
so he
so
was like 38 when he filmed that. Or
yeah.
37 probably when he filmed it, 38 when it
But
released.
so they probably their pitch for them was late 20s, early 30s Bond.
Right.
I mean, if you're getting an espionage and spy, I mean, maybe you start out in your early 20s. I don't know. Maybe you have to work your way up with some other stuff, and then
Right.
in your late 20s, I don't know how the world of espionage works. I'm
Me
not meant
neither.
to know because I'm not in
We're
that
not
world,
part of
right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I did know, they'd probably have to kill me. So
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, I guess. All right. Are we ready to talk about Skyfall?
let's do it.
All right. So Skyfall was directed by Sam Mendes, written by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and John Logan,
Now
based
Mendez did.
on
I'm sorry, Mendez did the other ones too, correct? Or have they?
no
Were there
the
different directors for each one so far? I can't
so
remember.
far for each one. Now Mendes will do the next one, Inspector. But he's actually going to be doing the 4 Beatles movies that are coming out
Yeah.
as well. He's attached to do those, which is uh,
Now,
interesting.
correct me. I can't remember. I asked you this when we did Lord of the Rings, and I asked whether you preferred to have separate directors like they did for the Harry Potter series.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it depends on the franchise, right? I can't remember what you said for that one, but I asked if you preferred a different director like they did for the Potter series as compared to having one vision with Peter Jackson for the Lord of the Rings series. For the I can't remember what you said once again, but for Bond, would you prefer to have had one director for the entire series, or do you like having different directors for every movie, or one to a couple and then swap out to another one?
I think this is a series that is kind of perfect for it to be however many the director wants to do. So Martin Campbell, who did Casino Royale, had did one or two earlier ones with Pierce Brosnan that and
Okay,
then
that I didn't know.
yeah, and then kind of came into Casino Royale. So they were able to be like, all right, look, this is somebody that we are.
He knows Bond. He
He
knows the Bond
knows, yeah,
world. Let
exactly,
he can get it off the ground and running, and then someone
right,
else can take over after it.
right. And I wouldn't be shocked if that's actually how the Denis Villeneuve stuff to go. I don't know if you're getting 3 Bond movies from him the way you got 3 Dune movies. I think it might be like a one or two, and then that you can pass it off to the next person to say, hey, this is like a director that's really big right now. He's hitting his stride with Dune, and everybody's starting to really like his stuff. Let's get him on Bond while he's hot, and then we can pass the torch off to maybe a more unknown, up and coming director and see how they do, or whatever.
In five
Uh,
5 or 8 years, someone else is going to
right,
be the hot new director. We can
right.
move him in, and Villeneuve can go on to whatever he wants to do after that.
So with Sam Mendes, I don't know if it was something that I'll look into it for because look, spoiler alert, we're gonna be doing these on my next few picks because of streaming options right now. So these are the safe picks right now. So I'll look into it more about like what happened with getting him because like he does this one and the next one, but he doesn't do No Time to Die. And No Time to Die was kind of needing a this movie. Let me just say real quick here is uh box office wise 150 to 200 million-dollar budget and it made 1.109 billion dollars.
Yeah, I think it was the first one to cross the $1 billion
The
threshold.
only Bond movie to cross a billion so far. And when we get to the ratings, like very well received movie. Um so you could be like, hey, that's why we're bringing him back, right? It made a billion. Let's keep the team together. Boom.
Yeah,
Spectre did not have that type of reaction. So maybe then it's like, oh, we need to kind of
we got to
fix this
freshen
again.
things up, shake it up.
Yeah, exactly. So uh, I think having multiple directors can be a good thing for a franchise like this. When it comes to things like Lord of the Rings, like you mentioned, it's like one that's like a complete series of like the 3 movies. It's like just like that's cool. Do it that full vision so it feels connected and cohesive. When it comes to a Bond thing, like a Bond adventure can be like different in each movie, type of thing. So you could do
Yeah,
something that fits more to this person's strength because it has like a car chase, or maybe this director is very good at like the uh like a shootout scene, or what I'm saying, like, and you can have them be at their strengths. Um but yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. Do you have a preference on stuff like that, or are you?
I think it might depend. Honestly, I think you kind of encapsulated that really well. It might depend on. So I think for Lord of the Rings, it was perfect to have Peter Jackson do even doing both Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit because that was one continuous set of things. Like The Hobbit was one book they broke up into 3 things, right? The Lord of the Rings, correct me if I'm wrong, was the same thing. It was one book they broke up into three, or was it 3 separate books?
So it was written as one that was then broken out into 3 that so it could be published because of how big they were, and then it got uh you know so it was one book that then was split into 3 for publishing, that then once people could publish stuff again, we're back into one book
Yeah,
with the 3 of them, and then was filmed all as one thing and put
to break
together
up
as
into
a
three
3 thing.
separate
Yeah.
books. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
I
kind of the
I
same way
watched
for the movie.
I watched Harry Potter for the first time a couple years ago with a friend during the pandemic. We would have watch-alongs where we would kind of both start them together and watch. And
Right.
I'm texting her stuff like, "What is this? Why is this kid living under the stairs? And what's going on? Who the hell is this giant dude?" Right? That wasn't my world. That was her. She loves the Harry Potter series, and she helped me out with that. And while granted, J.K. Rowling created that entire universe, and that was a series of books that she wrote all herself. But well, I've never read the book, so I don't know, and maybe I'm just completely inaccurate. From what I gather from the movies, as Harry ages and goes through different things, that was more of a perfect situation to get a different director after maybe one or two movies because so there was what, seven of them, I think, total.
8
Six or
movies, because they
seven
split the
books.
7th book
Yeah,
into 2, yeah.
but so okay, so eight movies, seven books. But those seven books take up a period of time. But as he's get like those, and they had the same actors for Harry and I
Right.
forget the other. But
Ron and
as they're
Hermione.
aging, yeah, Ron and Hermione. But as they're aging and going through different things, coming into their own, they're kind of going through different stages of young adult life and puberty and moving into adulthood. And maybe that is a picture perfect thing to get someone else to say, okay, because even from what I like, once again, didn't read the books, but the first one was one story. Prisoner of Azkaban, whatever one that was
Third one.
a little darker in tone than some of the other ones. Maybe that
Yeah.
was just a choice that was made with the book or with the movie. I don't know if the book was that way, once again, because I haven't read it. But at least the movie, with a darker tone, was done well. Now, once again, we have HBO who's redoing that entire Harry Potter series, and who knows what the hell they're going to do with that. Um, but I so I think once again, to boil it down after I ramble here, I think it depends on what it is. Some things maybe you do need one singular vision of this is how I want to go from start to finish, especially if you're filming all of them together or back to back. Like if you're doing something like that, excuse me, like Lord of the Rings, where you're filming them all together, you can't be having like because they film stuff out of sequence anyway,
Right,
depending on
right.
what they have and availability. You can't be like having one director for a week and have another guy come in for two
Yeah.
weeks to film it like that. That's
Because
just
I
nuts.
think I think Ian McKellen said that his first day of shooting was, like, Gandalf's last scenes of the whole trilogy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, so like I didn't know that until I was always under the impression like they filmed the movie from start to finish.
Right, right.
Until when I went to school, I went to a school called New York Film Academy, and I did some on-set photography for students making their student films. And I worked with people, and I had to take some filmmaking classes and stuff, and editing classes and all that other stuff. And I worked with people who were making their own movies and things. And that's where I learned, like, no, man, they film stuff depending on either actor availability or set or
Yeah,
prop
set the
availability.
like, "Hey, this
Like,
set's only built for 3 weeks, so
yeah,
we gotta film everything
or
here." Yeah.
it's easier for us. Sometimes it's easier for us to get it. We can destroy a set, have a set destroyed, and film that scene, and then build it back up. To the beginning later on, or
Right, right.
maybe actors are coming off of stuff where, like a Tom Hanks type thing, right? Where when he did Castaway, where he had to lose all this weight
Yeah.
and drastically for the film, right? Obviously, it's probably easier to do those later scenes where he's really small, lost all the weight earlier, and then as he puts on the weight, and grow the beard out, and then as he puts on the weight, maybe you can trim it down, and
Right.
then kind of work backwards. So it all depends on what you're filming. But I didn't know that. I was like, what do you mean you film it like way out of sequence? Like this doesn't make any sense. Then they broke it down to
Right.
me, and I was like, okay, I guess it